Hey everyone, welcome in. Betsperts Golf here for our first look at the 2026 3M Open, coming off of major championship season. It is in the books. Ryan Fox. I mean, what's not to love about Ryan Fox going out there and absolutely getting it done? Kudos to Foxy for a just outstanding weekend of golf. I mean, just don't see it. And Justin Ray's had some good tweets about just how far back Fox was, how much he, wasn't really a part of the coverage for, parts of times. And we don't have the bandwidth today to cover the coverage properly. You can definitely find thoughts on the coverage and other platforms. And I think a lot of it's fair. I think it's a tough slate like that. This is similar, I guess, in the coverage real quick. Similar like when you're at Aronimink, when you don't have a lot of separation, you have a pretty packed leaderboard. It's probably pretty hard to determine who grabs your screen time and who doesn't. But Fox with a great showing on Sunday and just battled. And I love seeing like Ryan Gerard and Ryan Fox, like very much swing your own swing kind of golfers. It's definitely not something you would have built in a lab. There's a lot of things that people will probably tell you not to do. But picking up the game late, all the stories that have really emerged on Fox, and just, plays quick, easy to root for. And kudos to Fox, Ryan Fox, Aaron Rye, Wyndham Clark, major champions in 2026. Scottie Scheffler, not a major championship winner in 2026. It's kind of crazy. Very eclectic mix outside of Rory at the Masters for our major championship season. And like flags fly forever. Those, it might be their only shot, and good for those guys capitalizing on it. So I thought Birkdale held up. I thought it was a very, again, there's always so much discourse coming out of a major. But I thought, again, 10 under winner, a lot of, difficult closing stretch. I mean, 18 had teeth. We saw it bite Cam Young, unfortunately, at the end there. And, it happened to a lot of other guys coming home on all the days. So to get a 10 under winner where, the course really, I think we got to like even Thursday afternoon, really like Friday, you started to see a shift in philosophy off the tee, where I think some guys had maybe some different game plans coming in. And with it being so dry and the rough being kind of wispy, it became like a bomber's paradise. And you look at that leaderboard late on the weekend as a ball strikers send it kind of leaderboard. Wasn't really what we had handicapped early in the week. It didn't seem to be what we were hearing from the course strategically early in the week. It depended on your wave advantage. So that was definitely, a little bit surprising and, a little bit frustrating, but that's kind of what we can run into in major championship season, because you don't know. We don't see these courses all the time. And the way things can play out, I think, can be a little bit tricky to handicap. So kudos to anyone that had Ryan Fox tickets. I didn't see a lot of those out there. Probably some pretty big numbers, probably some really big numbers if you happen to be just firing down the board and scanning on the weekend to try to grab something big late. There were big numbers out there if you wanted to, fade Lucas Herbert or Justin, Suber was up there. And, some of those guys, if you wanted to kind of say, hey, I don't think Jackson Suber's holding on. Those some big numbers out there. So kudos to anyone that went dumpster diving on the weekend and got themselves a Foxy ticket. So it's got to feel pretty good. A lot to unpack on some of the interesting things that have happened. I don't have anything fresh to add to Friday afternoon in the theater of Bryson DeChambeau and all of that. I have opinions. I feel like my opinions based off of other groups that I've discussed this with seem to be, I guess, counter to the popular thoughts here. So it is what it is. Regardless of whether you agree with the penalty or not. I thought the theatrics were all pretty heavy-handed and, dragging the rules officials back out and pulling your face and body language, all that stuff was electric theater. Friday afternoon, it was like peak Twitter, peak golf Twitter. It was like the old days, less vile comments from people. It was just like, we're all watching this thing happen at the same time. And it was incredible from an entertainment standpoint. Now, from a decorum standpoint, not my favorite thing, but again, I'm not here to judge, but I the rule is perfectly, by the way, the rule is written, that's a penalty. Now, with that said, I agree with the pro Bryson people here of, not that I felt like he was targeted, but I think it's a rule that's not called almost ever. Now, the problem is that we have all these different governing bodies at play here. The PGA Tour doesn't enforce a lot of rules that are written very clearly, mainly pace of play, right? So, like, there are a lot of rules that are by the book, not enforced week in and week out. This is not a PGA Tour event. This is not a USGA event. This is not a PGA of America event. It's put on by the RNA, Royal and Ancient. And so, like, to say, hey, this is not a rule that's enforced often is totally accurate and totally fair. Now, because Bryson is Bryson, it's also, I understand why the Bryson backers would kind of start to, scour the internet for other examples of things like this not getting called and whatnot. The reality is that the problem is on the tour. That's what we watch week in and week out. So we're going to discuss here in a moment to the 3M. We're not really grinding and covering and watching as closely the DP World Tour events, which are, of a different set of rules officials. And while I would also think that's probably not called as frequently as it should be on that tour as well, we just don't have as big of a sample to understand if that's something that they enforce or how they enforce a lot of their rules differently than the PGA Tours. The rule as called doesn't account for intent. It doesn't matter. So it's not even a matter of he's a cheater. He was trying to cheat. I don't necessarily believe that, but I also think, like, it, as the rules written, that's a penalty. Now, would you call it on your boys on a weekend? Probably not. Would they push back? Probably fairly, probably. So, like, I understand why it became kind of what it was. Now, what I think is really fair on the negative Bryson feedback was the theatrics post. So, not rules aside, the range session, while leveraging through your manager that you aren't actually sure if you're playing tomorrow. Like, so lip reading aside, the lip reading was very clear. He had said to them, not a professional lip reader, but like not super hard. It was basically, well, I'll just not play then tomorrow. And they instantly reacted as if someone had just said, well, maybe I won't play tomorrow. Like, they both kind of like, well, like, put their heads down, and it was a big kind of pouty baby fest. But other people, volunteers, workers, had to stay for the night range session, which I understand it's a golf tournament, you're volunteering, but like, it was not my cup of tea. Just, flat out, I thought it was a lot. It was performative. Yes, Rory's also performative, but like, I respect Rory for calling him out. He's not a fan. They don't get along. Don't pretend that you get along. Don't pretend you're fans and that you're, going to cape up for him. A lot of other guys played the middle a little bit more, and that's fine. I think a lot of the other guys had some of the same feedback that I'm saying here. Like, that's picking and choosing when you're going to enforce these things is not really fair. I thought Russell Henley nailed it. I thought Scottie, when he came around yesterday, kind of nailed it too. Like, kind of unfair in a way. Like, Bryson is going to be covered. We're going to see almost every Bryson shot, or at least there's a camera on Bryson for all of his shots, whether they choose to show him all or not. That's not the case for the majority of the field, right? So, like, you're going to have these situations where, like, we can get a feel for how Scottie's playing because we see every Scottie shot. Bryson's going to have a camera on him for all of those. So, like, he might be able to be called for a rules infraction more than Russell Henley or Ryan Fox or whoever, because they have cameras on them. That's not necessarily fair, but life isn't fair. Like, that's just kind of the way of it. So I just didn't like threatening to not play. holding tee times, which impacted your peers on their planning and scheduling for the next day. These guys are like very systematic in terms of my tee time. That means wake up is this, breakfast is this, get to the course is that. Like, so although, even though you would have like a vague idea of kind of where you were, it's still, it's just not, I just don't really respect it. I thought it was a little bit much, and like, just play or don't play, like, take it as is and move on. So the Rory stuff, yeah, like Rory, come to find out, people really sometimes are not fans of Rory, and that's fine. I'm not even like a Rory fanboy. I do, again, think Rory's performative. I think it's a little bit much sometimes too. There's a white knight situation, but also Rory doesn't have the chance to ever not have a media obligation when he goes to a tournament, right? So the microphone's in his face all the time. He's going to give answers. I think we hate when we get stock answers from professional athletes. But then we find a guy who won't give you a stock answer, and we want to fillet him for it because he's also performative and he's a white knight and he's like, I don't know. We can't have it both ways. Like, I just feel that that's pretty frustrating. Like, we want to encourage these guys to share, and then we grill them when they do. I don't know. I pick a lane. I think there's a lot of hypocritical discussion out there with the way Rory's response was to the Bryson stuff. So look, it's gone. I'm very interested to see what comes of the next handful of months of Bryson, given that we don't know the dynamics of the live team event here and all that's going to happen. His contract's up. He ejected anyway on Sunday, which I think helps, because I really wasn't interested in like, oh, Bryson wasn't docked those 2 shots. It became a non-story in the end. But yeah. Then we get into the Scottie TIO situation, which, you probably aren't watching this on a Monday morning if you didn't watch this or watch the golf or have an understanding at this point what some of these situations were. But Scottie was chasing late, needed to hit a miraculous shot, hit a poor drive, basically had to go DOD off a hill, and absolutely nuked it left into hospitality. The hospitality is, there's different rules, and they all have, local model rules depending on the event and where things are placed. And anyway, the hospitality event or hospitality restaurant where he hit it into basically the backyard of it, which they never actually found the ball, but there were a lot of, I guess, spectators that, pointed to the ball. They knew where the ball was. Was that it's TIO, it's temporary immovable object. It is not of the design of the golf course, and therefore there's free relief from it. Scottie goes on to birdie the hole and put himself in position to, at the time, he could have, birdied 18, tied with Cam, and got himself in position for a playoff if there would have been one. Scottie did nothing wrong. TIO sucks and needs to be addressed, and there need to be, there just needs to be alternatives. There's a few different alternatives that I think could be done. But Scottie did know that, kudos to Scottie, knew that, like, if I need to stay left, he couldn't go right there because it was death. He had no shot of being able to get up and down, and there was, out of bounds and trouble. So he knew his only play was to be aggressive and go left. And he knew that he had TIO relief if he banged it into hospitality. Now, if you want to say that Scottie knew and was actually, he didn't know, but if he was like strategically going that way, I don't think that's the case. I think he's trying to hit a great shot. But he knew that he had that out. Now, that's not on him. The TIO is a problem. He shouldn't be able to get relief. Now, TIO also is, you don't have to find the ball to get that relief. It is, if they know that is in the area and deem that it was in the area, they don't have to find the ball. Scottie was waving them off to find the ball, which is kind of the bad look, because that could have changed slightly where the rules were, and he might not have been able to get relief. So again, that's knowing the rules and taking advantage of it. I don't necessarily have a problem with the things that Scottie did. I think that the TIO situation, you'll see it. Guys will, basically backstop things. You can like absolutely airmail it into, behind a hole off the banking and get relief. There needs to be, whether it's a drop zone or there need to be some more parameters. These governing boards need to get together and figure some stuff out on the TIO side. So it just was a very interesting finish because it could have put him in position to, get himself into a playoff. So anyway, that's enough discourse on Royal Birkdale, the Open Championship. We're in Mule season now. We have pivoted from Open Championship season to this 3-tournament stretch, 3M, Detroit, and the Wyndham, where you might not see some guys, and you'll see, I don't know what we have for Detroit necessarily yet next week, but I think it's a decent field too. And this is actually okay. Scottie is in this field. So let's take a look at the odds board here. Courtesy of SharpStack, my friends over at 4for4. You should check out SharpStack if you haven't already done so. It's outstanding products, EV betting, bet tracker, ARB tool, track sharp money. Great stuff, including a fantastic free odds board for you. You can shop the winner, waiting for some of these odds to populate here for some of these other books. Scottie's in this field still currently. And believe he's here. I think, we'll take the 2 weeks off prior to the playoffs, but I think this is typically what, it's interesting that he's here, coming off of, back-to-back, in Europe. He is on FanDuel as high as 290. There are some 3-to-1s out there. I think, if you shop around a little bit, I think Bet365 has like a 3-to-1 and they're enhanced. Kurt Kitayama's here as well, around 22. Matt McNeely, Keith Mitchell, short of 30. Hideki's here as well, right around 30. Jackson Koiven opening up at 30. Jake Knapp as high as 32 and change. Tom Kim, 35. Pearson Coody, we dropped down to a tier here around the 50s or so. Coody, Gim, Jordan Smith, Sunjay, Gary, Jackson Subert, big 50 tier. Corey Connors, Ben James. Then we drop down to Sam Stevens, Max Homa, Michael Brennan, Mac Meisner. These guys are around 60. Yelena Miraju, Finau, Rasmus Niergaard Peterson coming off of a nice finish there at 60 as well. Davis Thompson, Kiefer, Day, all here around 60, 65. You're going to get big numbers. And this is the full market. This is not the without Scottie market. We'll get those here rolling out pretty soon here on a Monday morning. So look for those. Decide what you want to do. Do you want to take on Scottie? Do you want to take on Scottie, full Scottie markets and think that maybe Scottie withdraws? I don't know. I would expect him to be here at this point, but we'll see. Again, pretty miraculous that Scottie was, unable to make anything basically all weekend, and still found himself in position, TIO aside. Like absolutely crazy to be able to, he didn't make a putt over 5 feet, right? Like on Saturday, it's insane, nuts. So decide what you want to do Monday morning, shop around, obviously, and then decide, kind of it's a with or without Scottie market week. And, you can also, if you have options of like Rivers or 365 to look into the each ways, maybe that's a way to approach it this week. Decide what you want to do there. It's obviously an important factor before you even jump into any of the specific names. So, going to be an interesting week. Let's look at the tournament cheat sheet here from Betsperts Golf. If you want to see, I guess this is going to give you just a sense of rolling form, who's playing best. Shout out to Stefano. He took down Corrales there, the alt event. Kind of came out of nowhere there. So good for him. Have to dig in. He's in this field. So is Ryder Cowan. So small sample of guys, but you can mess around with some of this. You just want to look at the rolling form, who's been playing the best as of late, and you can get their recent form and finishing positions as well. You could see here, if you want to just kind of look at some of maybe the Corrales guys that popped that are in the field here, you could see who those guys are. If you want to see the best guys from the Open Championship and how they performed, they're here as well. It's used to just have numbers, but we've gone ahead and popped in the actual tournament for the recent form. And then you want to see course history, who's played the best here at the 3M over the last couple of years. You can see we're coming off of a Kurt Kitayama win here. He T6 the year before. Sam Stevens has played pretty well here with 2 top 10s in the last 3 years. Pearson Coody T3 here last year. Jake Knapp T3 in his debut. And you can kind of go down the board and get a sense of who's played the best here just from a finishing position standpoint. You can obviously jump into the rabbit hole, look at strokes gained and all those different things here as well. Let's look at the core stats page. This is, again, if you are a new Betsperts Golf subscriber, first of all, we appreciate it. And if you're not, let me start here. You guys should be. You've got a new deal that's awesome, deserves your time and attention with our friends over at Rebet. So Rebet is a sportsbook sweepstakes. They got casino games on there as well. If you download the Rebet app and use our promo code BSG, you can find this. You saw on the site. Very easy to sign. You can just see the free Betsperts Golf subscription article. Deposit a minimum of $10 a Rebet. So you want to make some bets here for the 3M. $10. They're going to match your first deposit up to $100, 100%. So if you want to actually get down, throw in $100, boom, your account has $200 instantly. If you just want to get in for the minimum, deposit 10, you got $20 in there automatically. You can fire off a 3M bet. When you sign up, use promo code BSG, or you can just kind of click on the links here that are in here. You're going to get a coupon code to sign up for Betsperts Golf for a full calendar year for no additional charge. So literally $10 out of your pocket. You'll get $20 to bet on Rebet, and you're going to get Betsperts Golf, which is $250 for a year for no charge. That's it. No small print, no nothing, no additional charge with us. Use the promo code when you sign up that they send you after using promo code BSG to sign up with Rebet. And that's it. You're in for a year. You'll cover yourself for all of the majors next year. We get some bangers next year, right? We got the Masters every year. We got PGA Frisco for the PGA Championship, which is going to be a lot of Frisco discourse down in Texas. We'll see what happens there. But get used to Frisco. We're going back a few times in the next 20 years. So this will be our first time for the men in Frisco. U.S. Open's at Pebble Beach. Love Pebble Beach in June. Sets up different than we typically see it, in January, February. So that's going to be really nice. And then we got the St. Andrews for the Open Championship. So some iconic spots, obviously, with Augusta, with Pebble and St. Andrews for next year's major. So again, sign up. You'll get all that next year. And not just the majors, obviously, access to everything we do at Betsperts Golf. So, Aaron, favorite place? Just getting started. This is kind of the research show. First look, going to show you how the course is going to set up, talk about the field, talk about what stats we should be looking for. And, plays will go to subscribers first, as always, through our Discord at Betsperts Golf. I'll put up an article, typically Monday night, Tuesday morning, with a breakdown on why I made the bets that I made. And also, Andy and I will do it here on the channel tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. So come back tomorrow for my bets and Andy's bets. We'll go a little bit more step by step. So, take advantage of this deal, guys. This is an awesome, awesome deal. Rebet's cool. It's a fun site. Used it for a lot of football betting last year. But, a lot of different ways to get down. Check that out. Again, minimum $10. Get started over at Rebet. TPC Twin Cities. Very interesting course. Par 71, 74 and change from the tips. We're up in Blaine, Minnesota. Andy will have boots on the ground this week too. So Andy always goes out there for the 3M, local event for him. It is a kind of a unique track. It is a spot where it's not a birdie fest in the sense that like there's some trouble out here. It is as much water damage here as there is anywhere. And by damage, I mean like your scorecard is damaged by you throwing the ball in the water and getting some double bogeys. And there's a lot of birdies to be had. So if you are dialed with your ball striking, you very much can have a mid-20s winner here. But there's a lot of water. There's a lot of water on the finishing stretch. So you have some really, I think it's an interesting like limp in a little bit weaker and then come in live on the weekends, because you can see a lot of volatility on the leaderboard, even on Sunday afternoon, because of the water, because of the finishing stretch. So it's not an interesting course from like a architecture standpoint. It's pretty boring. A lot of the holes look the same. It does have a like Florida golf feel, even though we're looking at, a Minnesota course. It's like lined by neighborhoods. It's a ton of homes. So it's not like a aesthetically pleasing golf course. They all kind of blend in, but the golf can be interesting because, again, someone can go nuclear, throw up really, really low number, and then just get themselves in trouble the next day. So it's definitely I like it as a live watch, live ad kind of situation here. So you see here, bent grass fairways, bent grass greens. They'll run them a little fast. It's average here, but sometimes they'll tell you how pure they are and how they're running pretty quick. So we'll see what the weather looks like and how that impacts things here. Fairly easy ball striking test. But you see mixed off the tee. Last year played a little bit easier. Get in here if you want to break things down a little bit. Corollary courses, some of the other TPC courses, which makes sense. Some other tracks like PGA National, which, have a little bit more water. Same thing with like, stadium course for Sawgrass, a little bit more water there. But again, you see some other courses that the Golf National has a lot of water, other TPC courses that you can get yourself in trouble if you're finding the water off the tee. But for the most part, ceiling kind of weak. You can get just absolute ball striking mavens that can separate. But you can see there's some double bogeys that are a little higher than normal here because of the water. I mean, you can see here a lot on, like I mentioned, the finishing stretch, like, 14 to 18. There's some big 3+ double bogey numbers here for some of these holes. So a lot of risk rewards in the par fives, and that's kind of it too. Like the par threes are tough. Let's see. I think the par threes. Oh, look at the par three scoring. It's easy. Okay. Well, par threes are longer, I guess I would say. 200 plus. The par fives, you just have a lot of decisions. Am I going for the green? Am I playing pretty aggressively? Because you don't necessarily have like really large eagle rates outside of the 12th. The 18th is depending on what you're looking to do in the scoreboard, but there's, 3 and change on an eagles and almost 5% double bogey rate. So that's, that makes for an interesting watch and kind of what I'm talking about from a volatility standpoint. You can see off the tee, driver usage ticked up a little bit last year. Is the field strength was a little bit better too. Driving accuracy again is more of a distance from the edge of the fairway type of week, because again, first time watcher and listener, viewer, appreciate it very much. Subscribe, Betsperts Golf, wherever you listen to podcast. We're here on the YouTube channel as well. Thumbs up the video, all those things. Driving accuracy is a binary stat. It's a yes, no. Fairway hit, yes. Fairway hit, no. We saw it in play a little bit at Royal Birkdale. Driving accuracy, fairways hit, not a great measurement of controlling your golf ball. Not a real measure of what was trying to happen there, because there wasn't a huge penalty for you just kind of rolling into the first cut. Now, that doesn't tell me much, fairway accuracy. Like, did you hit a foul ball like Scottie? Again, that was his second job, but you know what I mean? Like, did you just absolutely blast one into the water, into the woods? Or did you hit a good shot that just kind of rolled as the fairway trundles left to right and you rolled into the first cut? Graded the same. Impacting golf very differently. So I will always beat the drum for the importance of looking at a player level. Distance from the edge of the fairway tells us a much more important story about your likelihood and propensity to hit foul balls. That tells me when you miss, are your misses less than others, right? So you can see someone with decent driving accuracy numbers, but their distance from the edge of the fairway number is not good. And then that tells you that like their misses are bad. That's where you can get in some, really, really big scores. And in a place like this, it's not just a missed fairway. It's not just, playing out of the pine straw or something. You could be in the water. It could be a penalty stroke. So, excuse me. Sorry. By myself. So water breaks and cough breaks. A little harder to snip in there. Approach pretty flat in terms of proximity, which I'll show you, but pretty easy greens and reg. Again, even in the down years, you see the last couple years, right around 73, 74, almost 75% greens and reg last year. It's easy greens and reg. So we could filter for that too, even above average greens and reg from the rough, which again, keep the ball in play, don't hit a foul ball, and that's good. You can see going for the green percentage. Again, we touched on that. That's where a lot of the risk reward comes into play this week. You have to make those decisions on your approach shot. You do have a lot of water in play off the tee, but you also do have, especially on the fives, a decision based off of, where you are and what you can get number wise, what's going to happen with the water. So guys go for it above average and they hit the green and make birdies at a higher rate. So again, kind of the perfect risk reward. There is reward for executing a high risk shot. There is also trouble for not executing when the risk is high. I was touching on this approach shot distribution. There are no buckets, in my opinion, that I think we need to be looking at more from a proximity standpoint. It is fairly flat. There's nothing that's like, I would say significantly more. You see a tad bit more from the 175 to 200, but that's not something that I'm going to put in a model and, weigh heavily. That would be definitely a player to player situation. Around the green play, not something that I'm looking at this week when we have such a high greens and reg rate, when we have birdies on the menu at such a high rate. If I'm trying to highlight high ceiling DFS players, I'm trying to highlight who I think can win T5, T10, I need to be looking at ceiling. And so I have to then naturally think that you're going to be hitting greens and reg at an above average rate. So I'm not really looking for anyone that can get it done around the green. The around the green play is going to get tied up in the tee to green play, which matters significantly this week. So ball striking and tee to green. So like you got to get it done around the green, but I'm not isolating anything specifically to say, hey, this is going to be a specific demand. Like last week, we needed to look at around the green proximity from short grass because we knew we were going to get a lot of that. Small greens, difficult to hold, could be firm and fast. And we saw that play out. Nothing to pinpoint, in my opinion, from around the green this week. It will tie into the tee to green stuff. Putting, you could see 3-putt avoidance typically kind of flat to PGA Tour average stuff. Same thing here. 3-putt avoidance, these are decent size greens, but nothing here that I think we need to look at. You can see scoring in particular. You see here, scoring average. You see last year we played, again, par 71. We played over 2 shots under par on average, which again was the easier of the last handful of years. Typically been, right around a stroke over the last 5 years. But again, birdies are out there. Last year we had a 26% birdie or better rate, which is around 5% above a standard PGA Tour event. From the fairway, same thing, a little bit more than 5% above a PGA Tour event. Bogeys were down last year. Guys kept the ball out of the water a little bit more. Some low scores early, but I don't think there's anything actionable in terms of early rounds. And again, AM, PM stuff will, be weather dictated more than anything. So guys handled the par threes a little bit better than they typically had. Last year, saw a little bit higher of a birdie rate on the par threes, which kind of speaks to stuff I was a little surprised about. But yeah, that's a jump. And some of the easier par fours on tour from a birdie or better rate. So they play under par, and the birdie or better rate on par fours is like little over 21% last year, which is low. It's a lot of birdies. You see Kitayama won last year at 23, but you had a ton of guys, 6 guys at 20. Birdies were out there, but you could see the separator. Other than Sam Stevens, who did, a tremendous job putting and around the green, a lot of really strong tee to green performances from the field here. If you kind of search by tee to green, Ben Coles couldn't make a putt. Hey, surprise. Ben Coles could not make a putt. He finished 20th, but second tee to green. But for the most part here, he's looking at the top guys. Thomas Rosenmuller, 25th, but couldn't make a putt. But otherwise, you see a lot of guys. Doug Gim, I mean, that's part and parcel for Doug Gim. But again, a lot of really strong finishes with guys that got it done tee to green here, which tracks, makes sense. Let's take a look here. Is my model. You guys don't need to see that right now. But I'll show you what happened to my model. Scottie's doing well in my model. Ben Cole's doing well in my model as well. Some of the things I looked at here. I looked at rolling form, just last 6 months. Who's playing the best? No surprise. Scottie getting a 95 in the model. Now, this is a 1 to 100 score. So basically a percentile score. You see the gap between Scheffler and Tom Kim, who's next in the model at 83.4%. So makes sense. Scottie separating. Next on the model that I looked at, I'm looking at easy scoring conditions. So basically I ruled out anything difficult, very difficult. Last 12 months, who's done well there. Looking at ball striking, I think similar settings. This is actually ball striking with high water danger. So there's not a lot of it on tour. So I had to go back a little bit. Only gave it 5%. But again, just who can keep themselves in play, who gets themselves in trouble. This is a combination of driving accuracy. So I'm looking at total driving. Total driving is a combination of your driving distance and driving accuracy. Because again, you need a little bit of distance here too. Distance played itself out in previous leaderboards. And then I'm looking at distance from the edge of the fairway, which again, I will talk about over and over again. This is the last 6 months. And then this is 2 years with high water danger. So I'm kind of trying to look at when the test is similar to this, how are you handling yourself from a distance from the edge of the fairway standpoint? And then just overall, how accurate are you off the tee? So these three metrics are basically combining good drivers and accurate drivers. So times like this, I think it's okay that you just scan down. You can see this is why Ben Coles is up here high in the model. He's also playing really good golf, to be fair. You can kind of see, who's got green across the board. Joel Damon keeping the ball in play off the tee. This is kind of the way I like to use it too. All right, Corey Connors, I know that checks out. He's going to keep the ball in play off the tee. Grillo keeps the ball in play off the tee. Lee Hodges, he likes these Mule events, keeping the ball in play off the tee. So that's a way to kind of leverage that when you scan through after you build the model. Then we did some scoring metrics, birdie or better rate. I'm looking at putting, strokes gained total. I'm looking at, I think, a combination of, this is just real recent form. Your last 12, who's bringing in short-term recent form. This is why you get, again, some more Scottie, Tom Kim, Ben Coles love here at the top, who's just coming right now, playing well. Ball striking. This is kind of a super metric. It's actually a pretty decent sample of looking at kind of how I think the course is going to play. Approach. And then I'm looking at a couple different tee to green buckets, last 36 and then last 12 tee to green. The approach bucket is just rolling 24 rounds. So really try to not overfit too much except a couple of these specific buckets, but I wanted to look more so of anything, a recent form and who's playing the best. So I like to look at this and search by like DraftKings salaries when these come in a little bit later today to get a sense of maybe who's emerging a little bit higher than where they're currently looking at in terms of the odds board. So that's where we're at for the 3M. Appreciate everyone hanging out with me today, running solo. Again, no Ron. Ron's traveling. Need some days off. Need some vacation. So you'll get all of Ron's content on the site as always, but no show this morning for Ron as he's traveling. So again, check out the Rebet deal, guys. It's a great deal. $10 a Rebet, promo code BSG. When you sign up, they'll send you an email and you'll get instructions on how to sign up for Betsperts Golf for no charge. So you can build your own model. You can go on the site and use wisdom of the crowd, get a sense of models that, Pat Mayo's building, Ron's building, Andy's building, and other people in the space that are doing great content. find out what they're doing, kind of see if there are any other names that are calling to the top, and make your bets from there. So thumbs up on the video before you take off. We appreciate it.